Snoozecast, the podcast designed to help you fall asleep. On Snoozecast, we read excerpts from public domain works and occasionally original stories. We'd like to thank our listeners. If you enjoy our show, please review us on Apple Podcasts and also share it with a friend. Shout out to Mikey, who wrote a 5-star review. We're glad this works better than the white noise sleep apps you've tried, Mikey. The best place to listen to us is on our website, snoozecast.com. That way, you can play a single episode and fall asleep without another one automatically playing. This episode is supported by fluffy comforters and heavy blankets. Originally published in 1914, Village Folk Tales of Ceylon, Volume 3, was written by a British engineer living in colonial Ceylon during the Victorian era named Henry Parker. During his work as an engineer, he developed an admiration for the skills displayed by the ancient Ceylonese at the time of the construction of their reservoirs. Parker is renowned for having studied and compiled the folklore of Sri Lanka, becoming an authority on the subject. Let's get cozy. Close your eyes. Relax your body into the softness of your bed. Now, take a few deep breaths. The rat and the turtle that kept the precepts. In a certain country there is a river. At the river there is a rat, and in that river there is a turtle. Every day when this turtle rises to the surface, this rat is here. The turtle said, "Friend, what are you doing there?" he said. "I am keeping the precepts of Buddha." "Is it good for me also to come?" the turtle said. This rat said, "It is very good." After that, the turtle came. At the time when these two are keeping the precepts, a deer came to the river for drinking water. Having seen these two here, he said, "What, friends, are you doing there?" "We are keeping the precepts." "Is it good for me to come?" "Yes, it is very good," they said. After that, the deer came. At the time when these three are keeping the precepts, a crow came flying. The crow said, "What, friends, are you doing there?" "We three are keeping the precepts." "Would it be good for me to come too?" he said. "You crows are not trustworthy." "It is true, friend. Nevertheless, there is trustworthiness in me," he said. Thereupon they said, "Come." The crow came. At the time when these four are keeping the precepts, a jackal came. Having seen these four, the jackal said, "What, friends, are you doing there?" "We are keeping the precepts." "Would it be good for me to come too?" he said. "Your kind are not trustworthy," they said. "Yeah, it's true. Nevertheless, I am trustworthy," he said. If so, come," they said. Afterwards, the jackal came. At the time when the five are keeping the precepts, when the jackal went for food and went to the Gamarala's chenna, he saw that there is good corn there, and he said to the deer, "Friend, there is good food for you in the Gamarala's chenna," he said. The deer said, "For you to tell me the road, let us go together," he said. The jackal and deer both having gone, the deer ate food and filled his belly. Returning on the following day, when the jackal was going alone to the Gamarala's chenna, the Gamarala was there. This jackal said, "Doesn't the corn disappear in this chenna? The deer, indeed, has eaten it. You can't find the gap by which he came. Shall I find and show it to you?" The Gamarala said, "Yes." "Here, look at the gap. Having made the noose and seized and kill it, you must give me meat," he said. The Gamarala made the noose. On the following day, when the deer went to eat food on the high ground, he was tied in the noose. When the jackal went, he had been tied. The jackal went near the Gamarala and told him. The crow said, "Our friend went for food. Why has he not come back?" When he went to look, having seen that he had been tied in the noose, he said to the rat, "Friend, that friend of ours went to eat food. Having been tied in the noose, he's unable to come back." After that, the rat having gone, cut the noose. He said to the deer, "Remain low, lying down in this grass field," he said. To make it appear to be dead, the crow perched on the body of the deer. When he saw that this crow had perched on the back of the deer, that Gamarala says to the jackal, "Well, I guess the deer has fallen asleep." When this Gamarala was going near the deer, having said, "Nope, I'm not asleep," bounded away. Then the Gamarala said to the jackal, "You know, I'm actually feeling very sleepy myself. How about you?" The jackal agreed, so they both found a cozy area to fall asleep. The story of the Vera tree fish owls. There was a certain Bakarawata city. At the same city, 7 fish owls who were friends dwelt at one place. Out of them the name of one was Rawana Face. The names of the others were Great Fisher, Long-Boned One, Dumb One, Trap Setter, Noisy Drummer, and Big Fool. While they are in friendship in this way, without a marriage, one day, having called the others, one of them said thus, "The whole of us are possessing much dignity. Because of it, having thus talked, for the purpose of asking for the daughter of King Motanes in marriage, the 2 called Noisy Drummer and Trap Setter, having gone to Kurupiti city and perched on the portico near the palace of King Motanes, cried with the sound, oom. At that time the king having come out and perceiving, because he knows the fish owl language, the matter for which they called out to him, the king asked them, "What is the business that ye do, your livelihood being of a different sort? How is it?" he asked Noisy Drummer. Thereupon he says, "O king, your majesty, it is I, indeed, whom in Bakarawata city they call Noisy Drummer. In the same city the minister of King Kuru am I." Then the fish owl called Trapsetter says, "I am the son of King Motaba, who is near the same city," he said. Thereupon the king says, "Unless King Motaba will give marriage to you, we are unable to do so." Having said, "Ye are of the lower animals," he abused them and drove them away. After that, Noisy Drummer and Trapsetter came to Bakarawata city and told the others of the failure of their mission. While they were there, to Noisy Drummer and the other 5 said, "Ye fools, when ye asked for marriage in that way, will they give it?" Having said this, they quarreled amongst themselves. What was that for? Because King Motaba is not an overlord of lineage. If they had asked for the marriage from an overlord of lineage, it would be good. Having decided this, they still quarreled amongst themselves. After that, the 2 fish owls called Great Fisher and Long Bones went to Sulumbawati city in order to ask for marriage with the Nadarakara Kumari, the daughter of King Atapala. While they were there, sitting upon the porch of the palace of King Atalapala, Long Bones called out, "King Atalapala." After that, the king having come, when he asked, "What is it?" As they were sitting upon the porch, Long Bones spoke to the king, "We came to ask for a marriage." At that point, King Atalapala asks Great Fisher, "Is this one thy brother or thy friend?" Thereupon Great Fisher says, "O Lord, this is our Long Bones. He is my eldest brother. Just now, as we got cold in the head many days ago, our faces have become heavy-looking," he said. After that, when the king asked them, "How do you get a living?" they said, "Anikan Dukan. When your majesty is ruling, you obtain all things and get a subsistence in that way. We are not thus. For us 7 brothers, at one place there are rice fields extending over 60 yalas. At yet another place there are 9 amunas. The others, indeed, I am unable to mention separately. The whole of the cultivators of these rice fields having come near us, after asked permission from us to work in them, and bring and give the paddy at our very house. He wove and told many great lies." The king said, "It is good." The king went inside the palace. At that time, they also went. Then he was threatening them. "Now then, I will give you a good marriage now." Becoming afraid and having said, "There is no need of us to marry," they ran off and then flew. Having gone even to Bakarawata city, they then said to their friends, "The king of that city is an extremely wicked one. He abused and disgraced us in many ways." Thereupon Big Fool says, "You're fools. If you went to a place where there is good lineage and asked for a marriage, they would have given it. By asking for a marriage from persons without lineage, will they give it?" Having said this, these 2 called Rowana Face and Dumb One also went for the purpose of finding the marriage. While they were flying around, they arrived near the sun, the divine king. While they were there, having seen the sun, they say thus, "O Lord, we came to ask to take in marriage for us your Majesty's daughter, that is, Paduma Kumari," they said. Thereupon the sun asked, "Of what lineage are ye, fish owls?" The divine king, having become angry, not believing their lies, scolded them and drove them away. Then, having turned back and flown back to their own nest, they say falsely in this way to their friends that there is indeed a marriage, because our country is far away. He says he cannot give it. Tying up a package of cooked rice, and having gone quite alone to Tatagamu city, and seen the king of the city, he hid himself. And firstly, having gone near the fish owls of that city, he inquired, "How many daughters of the king are there?" Having looked, he ascertained that there were 7. Thereafter, having flown near their palace, he cried out for the king to hear, "Will you give the youngest of the 7, Princess Sunumali?" Princess Sunumali, having heard the voice of the owl, came outside and looked. Thereupon desire for the fish owl having stirred her mind, secretly calling him near her, they conversed, and he having been there for many days now, and thereafter having hiding, these two went to Bakarawata city. While there, this princess was the wife in common for the whole 7, but because they were of the lower animals, no children were born to her. To get medical treatment for it, one of them went away, and when he asked the doctor said, "Take black cumin seed and white cumin seed at the rate of about 6 bushels, and having ground it up, you are to mix it with fish oil and mice oil and mole oil, and give it to her to drink." Having come home in that manner, the whole 7 made together the medicine in the very way the doctor said, and gave it to their wife to drink. Thereupon, through the quantity of all of it, she fell asleep. She fell into a deep sleep. She never woke up. These 7 owls became very sorrowful. Longbones fell asleep as well. Rowana Face fell over and fell asleep, and Great Fisher flew away and found a place to sleep deeply, and slept. Trap Setter alone, being awake, he, taking afresh a new fish oil